Man, dude, I had some weird shit happen to me last night.
What went on?
So I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
It's right around like 2 o'clock. And out of nowhere, I just wake up.
Yeah.
And at the edge of my bed, there's a fucking shadow. There's a tall ass shadow figure.
Of a person?
Yeah, a
Really?
person.
So somebody was in your house?
I shit you not, man. And I went to go get up and
Yeah.
kind of wake myself up, and it was gone.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about
Yeah,
shadow people? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of World Unknown. And today we're going to tackle shadow people. I got your host. I'm Danny.
I'm Trevor.
Guys, welcome back again. Hopefully you're enjoying your day because we're about to ruin it with shadow people.
You ain't sleeping tonight.
Exactly. You ain't sleeping tonight, guys. Hey, well, let's dive into it, man. Just shadow people. What a different type of paranormal phenomena that of shadow people. And let's go ahead and start with a couple stories of our own, man. Why don't you go ahead and start off with our experiences of shadow people?
All right. Okay. I have a couple, but the one that's the best, we have a mountain range up here called Spring Mountain.
Yes.
And me and my buddy, we were out off-roading.
Right.
And it was right when we had that big snowstorm.
Okay. A few years ago.
Back.
Yeah,
a
okay.
decade back. So, everybody was gone. You
Gotcha.
couldn't even go up the mountains. You had
Right.
really decked out 4x4.
All right.
So we were going up in this mountain range, and we come across an old mining cabin. And I'm talking about
Right.
it's sitting on 50-gallon drums.
Right.
Just shit.
In being Nevada, you run into, if you go out far enough, you see a lot of those. Run Las
Yeah.
Vegas, obviously.
But it scared the shit out of him because, you were
Right.
just going, and it's snow, and then there's a fucking A-frame
Out of nowhere,
cabin,
it shows up, yeah.
and he freaks out. So he reversed, and he starts hauling ass. In this car, it's like a Jeep, like a rock crawler Jeep.
Yeah.
Not supposed to be going this fast.
Right.
So he's hauling ass. He's scared. I kind of turned around
Yeah.
just to look back, and I'm talking about nothing but snow because it was I think we got almost 5 feet in those mountains that year.
Gee. Yeah, it was that we had a lot of snow.
Yeah, and right when I look back, I see this clear as day, a guy in a long sleeve shirt, a hat, pants, shadow figure kind of guy.
So it was a shadow figure, but it had a little bit of detail to it. You can almost kind of
I
wear.
could tell he had clothes on.
Gotcha.
If you now that I know, because we went back and we checked out the area.
Yeah.
There was a old collapsed abandoned mine.
Yeah.
2 graves.
Yeah.
And then the A-frame house was 100 yards away from that.
Yeah.
And what I think I saw was the guy going from the A-frame house going to work in the mine.
So he's making that little trek.
Yeah,
that walk.
I saw him walk straight
Interesting.
across the road.
Right.
Clear as day, black. I was like, dude, there's someone out there. He
Yeah.
was that, that.
What? So you say it was dusk or something, but it was
No,
enough
it was
light.
dead. It was
dead.
Dead black.
And it was so it's a shadow. So
And it was a shadow going right across the
that
snow.
is kind of creepy, right? When it's darker than the black of night. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So you said this to your friend, and you're like,
No.
Yeah.
So my friend was driving like a fucking madman. I didn't want to say anything else because I knew he
You'd
was going to
freak him
flip the
out.
goddamn car and we were going to die. So I waited until we got to the pavement.
Yeah.
And then I
you
was
mentioned-
yo.
Yeah.
So we waited a couple days and we went back out there, and that's when we found
All that stuff.
the abandoned mine, the 2 unmarked graves.
Yeah.
So I think we were either seeing the remnants of
Yeah.
the people that died in the mine, or
Interesting.
There's other theories for it.
It's just total shadow. Okay. Well, my story is actually a friend of mine's story who told me this, and a very interesting story. And I tell people sometimes well, he was just fucking with you or messing with you, and I'm like, no, it's not. He didn't. He never did that way. We were just guys, but he never coped up to it. If he was going to mess with me, he would have.
Yeah, he would have owned up. Yeah.
So I have 2 friends of mine. One of them was a really good friend. The other one, he was a friend too, but it was basically a friend of him. So I'll just say the main guy's name's Sean. The other guy, I'll just say the friend, because I don't want you guys to get confused with the names. So this is back in the early 90s. Sean and his older brother, their parents were moving from a house down close to here to a condo. They had bought a condo. They were trying to get rid of the house. They moved around a lot. The father traveled to business, and so he just wanted to get something small. So a week ahead of time, the 2 older boys, my buddy Sean and his older brother, moved into the condo. It was empty. They had this TV and couch and a few of the beds and stuff, and just to, get away from the parents a little bit. And they're we're our late teen, early 20s, late teens. So we're kind of fairly young. So I went to go visit these guys, and when before the parents were there. I guess the house is empty, and we're talking to them, and suddenly they brought up kind of the subject. They go, you know what? Last night I had my other friend over. It was Sean, another friend. He goes, and I think we saw thought we had an intruder. It was a shadow person. So the story they told me is that they went to bed in Sean's room, and it's 2 twin beds he had because he had a younger brother that wasn't there yet. So the way the room is set up, and I'm gonna try to say a little diagram. You got your 2 beds here, and you got your door entrance here. So my buddy Sean would sleep on this bed, and his other friend was sleeping over here, which was against the wall, cornered up to the wall. So the friend over here, it was kind of late at night after they had fallen asleep. His friend over here, so somebody's shaking me. He goes, "That's somebody was shaking me," and he goes, "I thought it was Sean." So I'm like, "Dude, knock it off." And he goes, shaking me, and I'm like, "Dude," and I swing and knock it off. Well, at this point, Sean, who was asleep, heard him. So he looks over, and I remember they're twin beds in between, and he sees the shadow shaking our other friend, like trying to shake him awake. The other guy didn't know. He just thought it was Sean fuck with him. He's like, "Dude, knock it off," right?
Oh, hell no.
So Sean, my buddy Sean was, so when after it shakes him the second time, and Sean noticed him, the thing backs up to the edge of the bed, so it goes right here. And so Sean had always trained as a martial arts fighter and stuff, so he thought it was obviously somebody in the house, So he jumps up and he's getting ready to fight this guy. So the other friend at that time looked over, and he sees the shadow. So the shadow of a person.
So now 2 people see this.
Right, and it's shorter. It's not nothing big. And his friend's like goes, "What the fuck is that, dude?" And Sean's Sean's like, "I'm getting ready to box somebody. I thought somebody broke into the house." So the thing kind of looks at him, and it kind of crouches down like it's going to charge Sean, and then it kind of like turns towards the door, which is up here. And then it's gone.
Oh, shit.
So the thing they're telling me is like, when we went to sleep, we had closed the door. The door was a little bit open.
Yeah.
So because we're both freaked the fuck out, like, what the fuck? So they go over, and they're going to go out look in the hallway. Well, this hallway, it's a small condo. It did have 3 bedrooms, but it's not like a big. So the way the hallway goes in, it's not. It kind of squares out. So when you open the door, you can see all the other doors that come out.
Yeah.
So his older brother, who was sleeping in there too, was sleeping in the parents' room. So when they open the door to look over, his older brother opens the door. His older brother the dude's like 6'5", 340 pounds, and it's not all fat, dude. That dude's a massive motherfucker. That dude's big. His name is Eric. So they go, as soon as we open the door, Eric opens his door at the same time, and he looks at us and he goes, "There's something evil in the house." And they all went, "Ah!" They fucking freak out. So they all kind of got together, and they went out to the front part of the main condo, and they noticed their front door is open a little bit, like it's not closed all the way. So obviously they went out. They started getting all, let's go out there and look. There's nobody out there, nothing over there. So that night, and I asked him, he goes, "Well, what'd you do?" He goes, "Well, after this we cleaned up, because beforehand we were, being as young boys doing, we were smoking pot, we had a bunch of beer, and we're watching a bunch of porno tapes. At that time it was tapes, which is why they wanted to get away from the parents so they can let loose a little bit. And we just cleaned up the whole house. We took all the empty beer bottles and all the empty buds out and everything. We even put the tapes away, whatever it was, and then we kind of felt better." He goes, and we hadn't thought about it, and it was like a few days before I'd found out about this. In fact, when they were telling me their parents already moved in, so because it's been a good few weeks. We've never even talked about it until now.
It just happened,
right?
And they just let it go.
So so that was my story on their thing, and that always stuck with me because I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck?" They go, "Yeah, we just never." And after we cleaned up, we kind of it was out of sight, out of mind, and we didn't even say anything about it and everything. But this story was real. It wasn't like they had practiced it. When they were telling the story, they were filling in each other's blanks. Like it was something that actually happened.
Yeah.
So people talking, and the reactions were true, especially from the other friend, because he was freaking out. Like, "Dude, that fucking thing was touching me, dude." He goes, "Because I thought it was Sean." So so that's, and we heard many stories about that, shadow people. That's actually one of the few I've heard of actually touching people, which is creepy as shit.
You don't hear him. Yeah.
Right. Sean did tell a story that his dad had told him one time he had seen one late at night walk out of his closet. He goes, as black as his closet was, it was really dark. You could see it walk out. No. And he went back in, and Sean's family's very religious, because this is before my dad kind of went back again and was born again. This happened, and I think it's one of those things that drove him back to that, which is another interesting take on shadow people. So, there's a couple of our stories.
Like, damn, okay. They could be something that like you need
who knows?
At a time. It scares the shit out of you.
Right. So, the big question is, what are they? A lot of people always think they're not real. But let's go over some of the facts that the people, actual scientists and actual people have looked into it. So we looked into them. So what is one of the things that we found out?
One of the things that I found out is it could be dementia.
Right, onset of dementia, right? That comes on, the paranoia. And
it was a certain, it's behind your left ear, I believe.
Okay.
Part of your brain.
That sets it off.
Yeah, that you start.
I mean, that makes sense. Right?
Yeah, you start getting the feeling that you're being watched all the time.
Right.
You start seeing things out of the corner of your eye.
Kind of hallucinating. Yeah. Always that thing that close. There was another, what people talk about when you see stuff and your mind's just trying to make up what it is and trying to fill in the blanks. Basically, sometimes it's.
See, I believe that because there was a track out in the desert that I would practice for races.
Yeah.
And I'd be the only one out there. Me and my friends built it.
Yeah.
And right around dusk, there's a certain thing where it goes like a wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd come through there and I'd be going pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I would shit you not, sometimes I would see things. Like I'd come around the corner and I thought someone was standing there.
Yeah.
And I'd have to like pull off the track and go and like, what the
yeah, right.
And I learned and I do it at night races too. You see things. I shit you not. I saw some guy sitting out there with a pizza box.
Really?
During a night
That's
race.
so
and I was like,
weird. Dude, that's creepy as shit.
I was like,
that
no.
pizza box guy.
But when I slowed down, it was just a cactus. But
okay.
My mind was trying to figure things out.
Gotcha, because going back
for some reason, it wanted a pizza
sense.
box.
Yeah. I think a lot of that too with especially when people talk about the peripheral, I'm like, well, that's just the optical illusion. That's what your mind's just trying to make something. And a lot of people, so a lot of these the facts make sense, like the dementia, but there's sometimes it's just stories that doesn't coincide with that, doesn't make sense. But another is I got here. Oh yeah, drug onset. They talk about people who do a lot of like methamphetamines that they run into. They find they have this a lot. So even after they've done the drugs and not high at the time, that's what kind of sparks it. So it kind of like you said.
I've heard
LSD.
Yeah, I've heard LSD does it, but I've taken LSD a couple times. I've never seen it.
Right, and I guess it's not for everybody, but
and
basically
some people,
drugs can kick it. So maybe like you said, it affects that part of the brain enough to kind of
like I've done a lot of mushrooms and I've done some LSD, and I've never once seen a shadow person.
Right.
I don't know why, but I've heard stories about it.
Right,
and it wasn't when you were tripping, it was days after.
Gotcha.
Where you were like, your mind, I think, was coming down off of everything, and you were still seeing things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are some
dots, or
especially
shadows.
the LSD. There's all after effects that can last for years.
Yeah, that chemical. Yeah,
exactly.
Luckily, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
that I know of.
I can't read my writing there. Anyways, we're going to go through the biggest one that people say: sleep paralysis.
I've never had sleep. Well, I don't know.
I have had sleep paralysis, and I did think I saw a being, but it wasn't a shadow person. In fact, when I had sleep paralysis, we had moved into a new apartment at a time, and like the first night we were staying there, I suddenly woke up out of a dead sleep, couldn't move, and I thought like, oh my! And it was this very small, tiny one-bedroom apartment, and I'm looking out the door, thinking like, holy shit! I just had a feeling somebody's in the fucking apartment, and then suddenly I felt like a presence. It was no shadow. I could just feel someone at the door, and I could feel
couldn't see him, but
couldn't see him. I could feel him getting closer. Then I could feel him kind of like at the edge of the bed. Like they always say, just like they always say, like something staring at you. Finally, I got enough. I was trying to yell, I was trying to scream. The wife was next to me. My oldest boy was just a baby. And I couldn't scream. I couldn't do nothing. Finally, I had enough. I kept trying to move. I was able to do this, and it was over. But it was a good 2 to 3 minutes of sheer terror. I get up, and I remember walking out afterwards. I finally got up. Everything was okay. I looked out there, and I was just like.
I wonder what causes sleep paralysis. Do you know?
Well, I guess it's just so the sleep paralysis that we saw is basically your body and mind. When you go to sleep, your body shuts down, it goes into actually sleep mode, right? Yeah. And then your mind goes up. Well, sometimes something happens. They say sometimes if you're really tired or if you have a lot of stress, they don't coincide together. So your body shuts down, but your mind's not off in sleep altogether. So that's why they can't move, because your body's in shutdown mode.
Oh, your body. Your body.
You think your mind's asleep, but your mind's like, well, no, I'm not asleep yet. So
we're waking up.
So I guess this opens to the paranoia, the terror, or just the feeling that you're being watched, which people get a lot. So I get sleep paralysis. I understand the whole process of it, but I don't understand. They just say, well, it's so scientific mind thing that your mind just goes there because that's just one of the things. But it's weird how everybody.
That sounds like torture.
It seems like everybody goes to that being there. It's like it wasn't shadow people for me. It was just a being, and other people have that same with a old hag, in the old school. Old hags, and that's what they call it. They're sitting on the chest. They have a lot of things with people in the chest. I didn't feel any heaviness in the chest. A lot of times people on the chest that you can't breathe.
You just felt the presence.
That's what the old term feeling haggard was people thought there was a hag sitting on the chest taking the breath from them, and that's why they were tired because they couldn't sleep. Well, that's why I'm haggard because it was a hag. That's where the old term comes from. Right. Yeah. So throughout the years and throughout centuries, people have always recorded this. See, we've always dealt with sleep paralysis. It's just the different ways we attribute to it. Yeah, they thought it was a witch. They get shadow people. I thought it was a presence.
Well, they were cursed, or something.
And I get it. Sometimes people it's nothing, and then I can probably go, okay, it is probably nothing, just your mind playing me. But it's just funny how all our minds do the same thing. They all connect to the same thing. It's all kind of similar, But I guess that's just.
I've had something similar to it.
Yeah.
But it was I was on drugs on that one.
There we go. So sleep paralysis.
But no, it was like a weird thing where it was me the night. It was like when I was trying to sleep after like a mushroom trip.
Yeah.
And it only would happen when I had music, like if I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And the music was still playing.
Interesting.
And I would wake up in a terror. And I'd always look, because my bedroom looks right into my living room.
Yeah.
And I'd always look like right into the living room, the darkness of the living room. I shit you not, I swear someone was there.
Just sitting there. Just
kind of
like
it'd be to the point
where
where like I'd get my pistol.
Yes.
To walk out like, okay, who's here?
Right.
Yeah,
you get a feeling that someone's there.
Scary.
So that's kind of like what I said when I woke up. I didn't see anybody, but I just had a feeling like somebody's in the fucking place.
Yeah.
So it gives you the place paranoia, and I guess that makes sense because especially if you can't move, your mind is basically almost dreaming, but you're still awake.
So I wonder if you're in like REM sleep.
I think so. If I remember looking at
the symptoms of that.
Right. Your body's kind of right. Your mind's it's just like your eyes and your mind. It's not coinciding with what your mind and your body's doing. So stupid eyes, go to sleep, eyes. He's freaking you out.
Just close.
Yeah. So you're getting all this information in, but and so they have all these the facts that a lot of stuff makes sense, but to me it doesn't explain a lot of stories are heard. And yes, I guess there's stories, guys, and I understand people make stuff up and people think they see things, but sometimes some of the stuff that I know people out there have experienced personally, that these don't fall in. A lot of shadow people stories I heard didn't fall in with when they were sleeping. It didn't fall in. The person's not a druggie. They're I guess not. They're not dementia. They're just like normal, healthy people, right?
That we would know. But we wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But right, I guess so. It could be just barely mental problems, the paranoia and just people being schizophrenia would bring that on too. But a lot of people that should be healthy and stuff that we've heard stories or we know of, it doesn't explain everything. I know it does a lot of those stuff. We're talking about peripheral stuff, but.
Stuff falls through the cracks, man.
Stuff falls through the cracks, So let's break down a little bit of a different kind of categories that we have of what the shadow people could be and what is seen. I mean, the basic shadow person we see is just a little kind of blob, humanoid shape shadow people. There's been talks of the Hat Man, one that looks like it's wearing a hat. Usually, you can't tell the characteristics. You can just tell a humanoid shape. Sometimes you can tell something they're wearing clothing.
Yeah. Just
like the Hat Man, sometimes they say, hey, it's a trench coat and a hat on. The Hat Man one's weird. I know it's been recorded, but in 2000s is when it started getting really big, and we talked about this.
London or something?
Trench coat? Well, it's supposedly, right. Well, supposedly the garb is supposed to be kind of 1800-ish with these kind of understand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think...
Oh, shit. Would that be Jack the Ripper?
Oh, my gosh. There's a shadow? Don't even go there. But like the Hat Man one, so seeing shadow people in general, the Hat Man one is the mention of it going to bring on more sightings of it. It's just going to set something in someone's mind.
You spark that.
Yeah.
You spark anything in the imaginary for any other people,
and it opens up that world of.
Like hey, don't think of red things, and all you see is red things.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not discounting anybody seeing that stuff, but I like I said I like stories. Usually when I see people talk about the Hat Man, it's always with the sleep paralysis thing. So I like stories of shadow people that don't coincide with any of the kind of scientific explanations of the stuff. Well, that's the stuff that's outside.
Your buddy's story was compelling.
Right. That one was actually, they were sleeping.
But you got three people that fucking.
Right. Yeah. Two of them seen it. The third one's like, there's something evil in the house.
Yeah, he felt it.
Right. So we'll go on to one of the famous ones is people think that they're demons. People think that they're non-human, that they're now.
Evil
Sometimes
entity.
when they say demons, I think people are just like they're non-human. So I know they automatically go to demons, but they're just not. I guess that's the only way to
Something they
describe
can't explain
it. Right?
that feels evil.
Right. That can be ominous. Some people are like, well, some of these shadow people are not, ominous or something. I go, yeah, but that'd still be labeled under non-humanoid. Demons is a big one. So they label under that, and that's creepy as shit. Other people think they're a different type of ghost. Ghost that I've seen one article that think it's a ghost of people who have not accepted that they're dead yet, so they don't have the light yet, which was very interesting. They're negatively. Other people are just like they're
Interesting. Okay.
different type of ghosts. They're just in a different field, and they don't have. They're just a shadow.
Spectrum.
Yeah, different spectrum. Basically, the normal ghost. That we have.
Maybe that's like the energy they can put out. That's all they can.
Maybe.
Can do
Right.
That,
And people talking about are they evil or good, or well, just like people. Some people are good, some people are bad. So that's why some of these things you get an evil
Yeah.
present, some you don't.
The one that I saw, I didn't feel evil at all. Like I felt like
there.
he didn't even acknowledge I was there.
It's
Like,
basically, so
he was
yours
just
is almost
doing
like a
his own
ghost
thing.
kind of thing, just a shadow ghost.
Yeah,
basically.
like I was just for all I know, I could have been seeing a certain time in history.
Right, exactly. So another one of the part of the demon says is a jinn. A jinn is an old school. I want to say
the Middle East, right?
Middle Eastern
Yeah.
jinn, which is
Genie almost.
like a genie, like a
Yeah,
spirit,
evil genie.
right? Which is not particularly good. I mean, I think they're more non-good. I think it might be wrong, like of a neutral, but not really.
I think
good
it
or
matters
bad.
what jinn you get.
Okay,
'Cause I've
so
heard
it's-
different stories. I've heard there's most of them I hear they're
Yeah.
kind of like tricksters in a way.
Gotcha.
To get you.
We will go over. We're going to have an episode on jinn.
Jinn,
That was a very interesting subject because that stuff's still kind of that belief in them are still alive today and still
Yeah.
going on now.
Very.
Let's go to a really interesting take on this shadow people that I think we like. Is there travelers? So
Like time travelers.
there's two different time travelers and interdimensional travelers.
You know what? I believe more of the interdimensional
Right.
because they make sense that we can't. It's just like a blob,
Right.
and I think they would take the human figure because that's what we're used to seeing.
Right. So would interdimensional be things or beings? I don't want to say people. Beings traveling from different dimensions. So here's my question: that are they willing travelers, or they just happen to fall into a wormhole, or are they, is it accidental?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about like fourth, fifth dimensional beings, and that's the only way we can see them.
Maybe that's where their mind kind of, maybe they're just there, and we just at some point,
Yeah, and we just got lucky enough to see them.
kind of like seeing a ghost, a recording, like when they have a residual ghost, which is just a recording of somebody like walking
Like a
to
loop,
the,
like a loop of like a screen.
maybe that's
or
a dimensional
walk
record,
or-
residual
Could
recording
be.
or something. I mean, because it's a different dimension. We don't know how to accept it. We don't know how to see fourth or fifth dimension. Or supposedly there's supposed to be 11 dimensions, 10 dimensions. Look at this. There's a whole dimensional thing. It's another thing we get into,
It's
but
blowing my mind
how
right
to,
there
how to
now.
get. But we don't know. We only know the first three dimensions because we live in the
That's
third
what- yeah.
dimension, and we know the other. And so I'm pretty sure things in the eighth dimension knows everything else, but they can't
I
understand
don't even
above
think
them.
they could even communicate. Like we wouldn't even know they're there.
No, they wouldn't. We have
For all
yeah.
we know, air is a
Right.
dimension.
We'd be
and
like
that's-
electrons to them. We don't
Yeah.
know. Or we'd be a drawing on a paper, like a two-dimensional thing for them. We have no idea.
So I'm kind of wondering, like, so everyone sees it, and like your buddy got touched by it.
Yes.
If they were interdimensional beings, do you think it'd be like them experimenting, like when we do like hadron colliders and all that? Like, do you think that'd be them experimenting, like, oh, we're gonna go in the third dimension today and see what we
Maybe.
can do?
Maybe there is not a time slippage, a dimensional slippage, where this shadow being was a being from another dimension, or maybe just a different reality altogether. And he sees those guys as shadows, and he's thinking like, "What the
He's
fuck
trying
are
to
these
figure
people?
out what they
What are
are.
these things of mine?" So he's shaking it, like maybe he sees it as a ghost, like, or he sees it. Maybe he sees them as they are, but he doesn't know who they are. Like, hey, who the
He's
fuck
not,
are you?
yeah, he's not used to.
So when my buddy Sean jumped up, he's gonna attack him. That's why he goes like,
He
"Oh,"
got, yeah, and then he dipped
and
out.
then he's like, "Shit!" And
"Oh,
he's just fucking
that's interesting.
I mean, it's almost like a ghost in theory, but it's just a different
Wouldn't that be
dimensional
a-
reality being,
That'd be a melt of two realities,
basically
and like maybe that was just
a reality traveler.
because we perceive things that we know like possible.
Right.
So, I mean, technically, we don't even know if dimensions, because we think we're like paper, like dimensions go side by side, parallel. What if they don't? What if they kind of just intercede and intermingle sometimes, and that's when we're getting
a
shadow
little bit
people
of the
and
shadow
stuff like
people,
that.
exactly. So right, exactly. We would, how the fuck would we know? We have no way to measure it or something, and this is just like the what we're seeing, little remnants of that, just like kind of like a time traveler. Same thing.
Yeah.
Instead of dimensions, they're traveling over time. Maybe it's people from way ahead that come back. And because you think about like a lot of shadow people stories, if you look at ghost hunting things, which I know 99% of all the ghost hunting stuff on TV is fake, but there is, I think, a little validity of the truth of people seeing stuff. Because why would that stuff be so
prominent?
So
And
prominent,
Why
so-
would it be so over? It's not just like now,
Right.
Since we got
It's always been forever,
We've
right.
always had ghost
now?
stories.
People overdo it. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like 99% of that stuff is all crap. But there is some truth out. That's why we're all a little bit interested in some of those little nuggets. But some of the shadow people stuff that we've seen, that we've heard about, are always people, these shadow things, peeking. The peeking one, they around the corner when they peek at you.
Yeah.
It's creepy that they're looking at you. So I'm always like, okay, if it's time traveler or a reality traveler, why are they just peeking? Why are they picking really old, dilapidated buildings and stuff? Which they don't exactly, but I guess.
Well, okay. Let's think about this. So they're future time travelers.
Yeah.
They can't let their presence known to us.
No, that's supposed to be.
So
right.
they come in and they, whatever little cloak
Yeah.
is a shadow being. Maybe that building that we see that's dilapidated, maybe in the future, it's a giant
Yeah, might be something different.
mega
That's true.
city for all we
Right.
know.
Or it could be from the past.
And maybe they're trying to figure or tweak something out in there, or that we.
And I thought of something too. So why do we only see shadow people when ghost hunters? One, because they're looking for them. If you're not looking for them, you're not going to notice them. You're not opening yourself up to
I wasn't
finding
looking.
them. Right. Well, I mean, for the most part.
Because I've had it happen twice.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
I never was looking.
Right.
And I don't think your friends were looking either.
No. But I'm thinking maybe in general, the people that see him alive, or because they're looking for him, not always, doesn't always explain everything, but sometimes people,
Well, you go, yeah, I mean,
and that's why you believe some of the stories when you're not looking for them. And I was like, I wasn't looking for anything. This thing just fucking showed up,
I remember watching one ghost thing, and like they were in some asylum, and there was two of them, and it was bright as day,
Yeah.
and the guy went, it was like a long hallway, and it fucking creeped me out though.
Yeah.
He turns around, and there's this thing, like I think I sent it to you. There's this thing on the ground, and you could just tell 100% that thing was just angry and ready
Yeah.
to fight, and it just charges him.
Yeah. I think
And he's like, "What the?" And like
Yeah.
you can see things moving.
when he's running, like,
And it wasn't an animal.
Hmm.
It looked like almost a human on all fours,
right.
but it was all black, and it was almost transparent in a way.
Yeah.
And man, that thing, Charles, like, okay, and it was just like, get the fuck out my building. And they got out, and he
Right.
goes, I'm not going back in there.
So that brings up, other than shadow people, that brings up another thing is the living beings. Like people think it could actually be living beings that we just can't. That's the way they live. Like maybe they have all things have like in an animal kingdom like a camouflage. Sometimes like the gecko could change colors, or whatever. I think it's a gecko, whatever. We got other things. So maybe these are different kind of beings that that's
chameleons,
how they
geckos,
chameleons,
snakes.
right. So maybe it's a type of living being that has avoided us because they know how to look like a shadow. We never know. Or
Well, okay, look,
there's a lot of stuff
okay,
out there we haven't discovered yet. We're just discovering different kinds of species of shit all the time.
We know, I think we know 5% of the ocean.
Right.
Who's not to say there's a species of something
Yeah.
that does have that camouflage, like
Right.
like the predator.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Every once in a while,
Yeah.
and then that's why they live in dark places like that, because they want to stay away from humanity.
And that would explain to me the ones that are animal looking, like that one, a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, some of it might be a little played out. I think those things would be a little more discreet, but they would explain some of the maybe peeking from behind the
Like
old
they want to
buildings
know what you are.
because they're trying. That's why they're staying in an old building because nobody's there.
Yeah, and
They're
then
places
you all
in
of a sudden
shadows.
show up, and then
And that's why they're peeking like, oh,
this?
fuck, what is
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
We think it's humanoid shape maybe, but it's probably not. I mean, I don't know. It could be,
Yeah,
could be
I
humanoid
mean,
shape, just different
In all
type of-
honesty, we think it's humanoid shape, but in almost every encounter, it happens within seconds.
It's true.
So we might perceive it as a human, but it might not.
'Cause that's what our mind's
it,
trying
It
to
might have
do.
been a different shape, but we're thinking, oh, I'm getting attacked by a person.
Right. Because that's sort of minds
Yeah,
go.
or
They're
I
trying
got
to make
attacked
it-
by a dog.
So, right. So obviously, kind of attached living beings would actually be, people think they could be aliens, basically, in disguise. Aliens are like the Predator kind of camouflage is just like aliens, and that's why
That's a bougie ass little alien.
Man. I know, and that they're just experimenters. They're looking at us. They were kind of like the zoo. Some mess with us, where they touch us, so they just kind of stare around the corner because they know basically we can be dangerous because we're like wild animals to them. It's like, hey,
well, yeah, I think if they're
let's go play with the the lions in the cage a little bit, but we got to make sure we hide from them. It's
well, my thing is, okay, so if they're aliens, I'm 100% sure in this day and age, some jackass is shot in a shadow being.
Right. Exactly what he got. Right.
Well, okay, if a guy did shoot a shadow being, would we ever know about it? Because we know that Men in Black do exist.
Another episode, Men in Black. But yes.
Yeah, like,
well, think about
you
this.
never heard from that guy again.
Just because if he shot him, whatever weapons don't work against him. And I'm sure that they can be like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, this thing just shot
but
him.
what if we got an idiot like Paul the Alien?
Yeah.
That doesn't know what he's doing.
Paul the Alien, exactly.
And he gets shot and he's like, ah, shit.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Like, you never know. Or electrocutes himself.
Right.
They're dicking around doing stuff, like, especially if you're an alien, you're fucking with things.
Right, exactly. But if anything, and aliens is an interesting one because they could be another choice of what they could be.
Could be.
They're usually aliens we know are kind of a humanoid shape. Although some of the aliens that we know of, which like the Greys, whatever, they're different shaped and they're humanoid, but it's totally different. But I mean, it is an interesting kind of take on that too.
Two incidents, they definitely weren't aliens to me.
Yeah.
They were humans.
Right. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and one of because one of them, it could have just been mine. Like, I know who it was.
Yeah.
And then that would go back to your theory about like their ghosts that haven't passed on.
Yeah.
Because it was my uncle passed away, and he always looked out for me. Like, always.
Right.
And I woke up out of a dead sleep, and he was 6'4".
Big guy.
330 maybe.
Woo, yeah.
He used to be an enforcer for the mob. Like, you do not mistaken this man.
Right, yeah.
And his shadow was him. And I woke up to it, and there was no fear. There was just, I was completely calm, and I felt really safe. And I felt like it was him saying, hey, I'm just checking up on you.
Yeah.
And it lasted a second, and then it was gone. And I went right back to sleep, and I slept like a baby.
Oh.
But, it was a big-ass shadow.
Right. All right. So, I mean, it goes into our beliefs about it, that you kind of thinking that shadow people are just different types of ghosts. And, I mean,
maybe.
Is that
because I've heard Native American things talk about shadow people, and they've had negative connotations and positive, like the evil spirits that walk around the desert.
Yes.
And then, there could be a loved one that's following you around that you haven't let go, or they have unfinished business, or,
So, our beliefs, I mean, it could be... I don't know what to believe about it. I was saying earlier, it's weird that stories I've heard from people I've known and stuff experienced, I believe. But sometimes when I hear stories, when I listen to other podcasts, when I read articles, it seems so fake to me. So I'm a believing non-believer, if that makes sense.
The only reason I believe is because I've seen it.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I believe in it, but I discount most of the stories that I hear about.
No, most of the stories I hear, I discount too. But like when I saw that, when I was in the mountains and I saw that figure, clear as day, we went back 2 days later. And we had a big group,
right?
And then that's when we found the mine they filled in.
Right. And to you that made sense. Like,
and I was like, okay. And then when I went, this is the thing that topped it off for me. Everyone was walking around and like they had the little recorders and shit.
Yeah.
So I went into the A-frame house, and I was the only one in there. And I can clearly hear people outside. And then I got like just kind of real quiet, and I sat there. And then all of a sudden I hear people playing cards. You got an ace? I got two. And like, and I was like, oh shit. And I told everyone, I was like, shut the fuck up. And it kept going. It didn't stop. And I brought someone in, and they go, dude, someone's playing cards. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, there's something to this now.
See, now that is total residual effects, and I think that, like you said, that one. So this could be that shadow beings are not one thing. They could be everything all at once.
Yeah, I think they're multiple things. Because
maybe it's our mind.
Was something else. That miner I saw was something else.
Right.
And then some, like your friends saw, who knows? That could have been a leprechaun fucking with him.
Leprechaun.
I don't know.
Right. I know. Maybe it's he had a belief, because him and his family were religious, that it was a demon of some sort. And,
Could be. But
and
what
it
truly
did to
is
him?
a demon, though?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's just there's such a basic explanation of what a demon is, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot more in depth. I think demons are, if you like playing D&D, like a neutral bad kind of thing. So not exactly bad. They're kind of neutral, but if they do stuff, it's usually kind of nefarious type. I've heard people say, like, well, I didn't get any bad feelings. I'm like, well, maybe because it just wasn't.
Yeah, I never had a bad feeling about it.
But a lot of the stories I've heard is kind of a little ominous feeling for the shadow people. Maybe it's because it just feels you get creeped out by it,
Yeah.
And I can get that stuff, but yeah, it's I don't my belief. I don't know what to believe. Do I believe there are shadow people? Yes. I haven't really experienced the shadow person myself, but the stories from friends and family that I've had have talked about it as maybe enough to be like, okay, there's something there. Maybe it's more akin to a ghost. I would like to think the time traveler thing or the interdimensional being is really cool. The only thing that scares me is sometimes I don't believe exactly shadow people are human nature, and that's what scares me. It's like, okay,
There's something different.
they're not fucking human. What the fuck are they? That's fucking freaky as shit.
Yeah. So okay, this is every time you watch like one of the ghost shows,
Yeah.
and they catch like a legit shadow person,
Right.
what's their first reaction?
Yeah. Oh, they're gone.
They freak out,
Freak
right?
out. Yeah.
So my thing is, like, when I saw mine, I was leaving a scene. I was in a car.
Yeah.
I didn't have, like, it wasn't like I was out in nature with that thing. I'm like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
now I got to deal with a person.
Right.
I had no fear of it.
Right.
I think most people, when they see it in their home or a dark place or
Because
something,
something that's not supposed to be there. It's going to catch you by
the
surprise.
first thing you're
Yeah.
thinking, in my mind, I would think there's someone in here.
Yeah.
And I need to leave.
Right.
So you get kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah. It puts you on. Yeah. It gets you backed up and gets you.
Yeah.
How could it not?
But I think there's some times where I see when you get like a calm person or someone that goes towards the fire instead of away from it.
Yeah.
They don't have that reaction.
Right.
They'll start walking, then the thing leaves.
Yeah.
Because maybe whatever it is more afraid of us than we are them.
Right. Or just as, because they're freaking out too, probably.
Yeah, they might be freaking out and we don't even know it. Because I had that one theory that we talked about a while ago, that like ghosts and all that are more of, we're seeing a glimpse in time.
Right.
And I think like when I saw the thing in the mountains, it was some miner just doing his routine every day.
Right. And that's what we're talking about as shadow people, and talk about time travelers is, we've recently, I don't know if anybody's read stuff lately, but they're trying to find out, basically they're saying like time is really not linear, and we perceive it as linear, that everything's happening basically all at once, which is that movie, Everything All at Once. But that's how scientists are being to this theory now, is that everything already happened, and our bodies are just looking at it as a linear thing. So sometimes as residuals or ghosts or shadow beings, it's just beings doing what they do in their plane of existence, if I'm explaining this right, and it just kind of bleeds over a little bit.
Yeah.
So we see
that's
little
what
glimpses.
I think it is. Yeah.
It just kind of rubs in together a little bit because we think it's the past. It's actually happening now, but in our past.
But we can't comprehend that.
Right.
Because we need to have
right.
like a clock,
so that
something
it kind of
forward.
explains our ghost or shadow beings or something. And that almost kind of makes sense. But until we have the actual way to really fully explain that and look into it, to us it's just what they call it's on the fringe of fringe science and fringe. And I get it because we can't explain it. It's all paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Here again, we like all types of people. We like skeptics and we like people who believe. We don't. Even the ones that are too far on either side. It's good to have the skeptics to balance that out, and it's good to have the people beliefs to balance out the skeptics. And that's what we've always been, like in the middle. We don't believe everything, but we don't discount everything either. And I think everybody should do that, regardless if you believe. And believe me, skeptics, we love you. Keep it up. Keep us grounded. Don't let us get too far away. Otherwise, we're the old school War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, when people were freaking out because they thought it was an actual thing going on the radio. Otherwise, that happens and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
And then people who believe keep us believing, so we keep questioning things. We keep looking for answers because sometimes. We actually find that that was actually fucking true, or a version of that's true, So it's really good to
look. We're finding new things about this world every day.
Yeah.
And for all we know, it could be a species that we have no fucking idea what it is.
It could be travelers from another land. We find out that was just us.
Well, what if 200 years from now it all makes sense?
Yeah. Right.
They're like,
Exactly.
oh, dude, we were just fucking with you guys the
Right.
whole time.
What if that my friend, my buddy that experienced that? It was like some ancestors were in the future. They're just messing around with them. Like, look, I'm going to scare these guys. Look at this, and it just scares her. You never know.
What would be real? Okay, so the time dilation.
Right.
I would be really interested to know if your friend was in the future at one point. They were all sleeping over, and your buddy was trying to wake him up that way.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe it was. Yeah.
And it was just he witnessed something that was going to be in the future a couple months from now.
Right.
And it freaked everyone out. And maybe that was your buddy because your buddy went like this.
Yes.
And that thing crouched down just like he would.
Yeah. Like it's about.
It could have been him.
It could have been him. Exactly.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting question to ask him.
Exactly. One thing we didn't touch on was out of body experience, astral projection. People sometimes think it is. That's another thing. Another thing we should tackle on too. There's a bunch of subjects we get into.
Yeah, we're gonna get into
astral
it,
projection.
yeah,
I got some stories on that too. But people think it could be that too. It could be astral projection. That's how we see them. Not all the times, but we see the person as a shadow, which maybe could explain what it was. Maybe not one of them, but somebody that his friend knew that was trying to wake him. Yeah, maybe trying to wake him up. Like, hey, thinking didn't realize he was astral projecting. Sometimes astral projectors don't know they're doing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
is there rules to it? Because why do you run? Why do you run away from?
I don't know. Maybe he did that
Why
and
you
saw this
peeking?
other person. Yeah, why you?
Because if I was
peeking?
astral projecting, I'm walking around like I own the place.
Right. Maybe they know. I don't know. There's so many questions.
Or
There's
they
so many
don't know
different
they're
things.
doing it.
Like you said, why are they peeking? They don't know they're. But why are you peeking then? They're looking at things.
And why are you in like some dilapidated building?
Right. Exactly. Like you said, maybe it's in the future and it's not dilapidated, or it's in the past
Could be.
and it's not dilapidated.
Oh, we're talking about Tomorrowland over here.
Yeah, maybe we're the shadow people to those people, because they're in the past when the building was nice and new, and someone's looking around like, "Holy shit! You should check out these two shadow people over here."
Dude, you look sketchy right now.
They're looking over like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it
So
could
this
be.
exactly. So hey, a lot of questions out there, shadow people. Very interesting to me. Very creepy. Creeps me out more than ghosts because. Ghosts, you should know they supposedly were human. As far as shadow people, they always say like, well, they're not really exactly human, and that creeps me the fuck out.
I've never got a bad feeling from them, so I don't know.
One funny thing, and I've listened to it. We're doing some looking into it, and I did some old Art Bell. If you guys know Coast to Coast out there, some shadow people, and this is this kind of stuff. When you listen to these people, you're like, well, this is why people don't fucking believe. This guy's like, well, yeah, they have stuff. I've seen like a shadow spider and a shadow, what I call a shadow cat. I'm like, dude, shut up. He's like, a shadow spider.
Look, you saw a black
He
cat.
did, right.
And you saw a spider.
It wasn't exactly
it's
not exactly a cat, but it's like cat-like. So it's just seeing this and shadow rats and I'm like, no. See, you start seeing that kind of stuff. The only thing I've known is, and I've understand is this shadow beings, sort of, and an amorphous blob of shadows, like a that's kind of like they would show it on old movies where it looks like it's out of shape shadow that's just like over kind of that thing.
I can see that. Yeah,
that I can kind of see, which is another weird thing, which I don't know what that would be, but
maybe they still have the power to make a figure.
I don't know. It's a shadow shat or something.
That's Jimmy running around.
Shadow Stevens for you out there who know what Shadow Stevens are. All right, guys. Hey, man, anything else about shadow? I mean, there's a very interesting subject. We still don't know what they are. And most people are thinking like it's all bullshit. It's just it's all the facts that we said about dementia, drugs, sleep paralysis, and stuff like that. And I agree with most of that. But there's just certain stories and certain things that come up.
Certain things that come. Yeah,
this isn't broad daylight, and
Yeah.
this is doing this, or these guys are doing that. We had more than one people seeing it, whatever. But again, you take these stories as you take them, and out there, the skeptics, please keep skepticking, and believers keep believing, man.
Yeah, and if you have shot a shadow person, please let us know.
Yeah, if you have any stories of yourself, let us know. Put it in comments and stuff and everything, and we can maybe one day have like a call in or a tape in, whatever. We can
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Or we can read stories from people if you ever want to do that.
Yeah.
If we get more than 4 people as subscribers, we're working on it, guys. We're
building it.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else, buddy?
No, I think
All
we
right.
covered a lot.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in for another World of Unknown. Don't forget to please subscribe, like,
Comment, please.
share. Please go
Yep.
out there and share with people you want. Put comments of subjects you have. We're getting a whole list of subjects to do and things to anything with conspiracy or paranormal, man. We'll try to tackle and stuff. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Have
Bye.
a good day.
Pew.